Mic check 1 2 1 2. Hello and welcome to the kingdom. My name is Karen Lovejoy, your host, and we're back with another episode. Welcome back to the kingdom if you are a citizen. Do you have your green card or no? And welcome if you are here on a visa. We love you. Welcome to the kingdom. So today it's day 2 of my period, and I've got that summertime sadness. Like this whole summer, I've been a little sad, and I'm not sure why, but I keep saying that I feel a little lost, and I feel like I feel lost in many different things. Like my motivation for creating things is not there, like creating content, my motivation for cooking, cleaning, existing. And in the beginning of the summer, I thought maybe it's just the changing weather. I was thriving in the winter because I wasn't going outside that much. Was I thriving in the winter? The grass is always green on the other side, because I don't think I was thriving in the winter that much, actually. But now that it's the summer and the seasons changed, I was like, okay, maybe it's a change in season, and I'm just feeling like some blues. And it comes in waves, right? So I've kind of been procrastinating filming this episode because I've just got that summertime sadness. Lana Del Rey was right. I feel like we equate winter to the winter blues and seasonal depression and whatnot. But there's something about summer that, like, and I don't know, this is my first summer feeling it, but this is my first summer understanding Lana Del Rey and her whole summertime sadness vibe, because like there's just some doom and gloom in the air. And I don't want to bring that to you guys today, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because I'm not feeling like myself, and I'm not feeling like I'm content in life, but I don't know that I'm feeling too joyous at the moment. And I'm not sure why. I've been trying to pinpoint it, and I don't know what it is. So this episode, I'm just kind of gonna ramble on and on. I do have a point for this episode. I have a topic. I wanted to talk to you guys about like my finances and how I budget and things like that, which I'll touch on later in the episode. But I couldn't start the episode without like addressing how I feel. And I think once I say it out loud, I'll be fine. But yeah, I just haven't been feeling like that happy lately. And I think it shows like in maybe I don't know that it shows my content, but like my energy, my motivation. I've been feeling very lethargic, and I'm like, do I need some medication? A friend recommended creatine to me yesterday. Apparently like clears your mind and helps you think sharper. But basically I wake up these days and I'm already like over it. I wake up and I'm already over the day. And I don't feel happy about that. I don't feel like that's how my days should start. I really tried to like get up and like make a matcha and like romanticize my morning. And I did that for a little bit, and then, I didn't really feel like I couldn't even keep up with that. I couldn't keep up with making myself a matcha in the morning. And then I just lay in bed all morning. I'm trying to give myself a little bit of grace because I'm like, okay, summer is when you play. Summer, you play. Summer is for play. So it's okay if I play. It's okay if I indulge in a little play. I'm going to talk about what I'm welcoming and exiling. You guys know I've been watching Love Island. So I think in this portion of the episode, we're going to talk about Love Island thoughts so far, because it's the last week. Tomorrow is the last episode. So let's do a quick rapid fire Love Island hot takes, okay? these are not hot takes, but one, I think Trinity and Bryce are okay. First of all, let's backtrack. We're gonna do what we're welcoming and exiling. And if you're new here, this segment is basically things that I'm welcoming into the kingdom and things that I'm exiling out of the kingdom. And this episode, what am I welcoming? I'm welcoming mango slices. I haven't had them in a long time. And my husband just brought some back from grocery shopping. He was like, I have a surprise for you, mango slices. I love mango slices. I can't be bothered to buy a mango and like actually chop it up. But if I see a box of mango slices out, like fresh mango slices, nothing makes me happier than fresh mango slices. That's false. Many things make me happier, but fresh mango slices. Fresh mango slices. Honorary mention to like dried mango slices that are like, whether it's the plain dried ones or the dried ones that have like spice and chili on it. Trader Joe's has them. I just love mango. I think mangoes are the best fruit on the planet. If you have a different take, let me know. But I think mangoes are the best fruit on the planet. I don't think I love a fruit more than I love mangoes. So, yeah, I'm welcoming mango slices. What am I welcoming? I'm welcoming smoked oysters. Those have been my hyperfixation snack for the summer. Smoked oysters. Just smoked oysters in olive oil. I just love peeling a can, snacking on them while I watch my TV shows. They've been good to me. They've been good to me. If you're not a fan of tinned or canned fish, I highly suggest that you look into that because they are the best. They are the best. Sardines, smoked oysters, mussels, anchovies. Anchovies can be very salty, so I tend to stay away from anchovies. But yeah, what else am I welcoming? I don't have anything like philosophical. Yeah, I don't have anything philosophical that I'm welcoming now. Like I can only think about like physical things because I'm kind of like dead inside. Yeah. And then I'm exiling. I feel like I've been exiling the same thing lately, which is like an offendable heart. I really been praying to God lately to just give me a heart that doesn't take offense to things and not to take things personally. It's really, really hard though because we are like the center of our world, like I'm the main character in my life. And so if something happens to me, it's really hard to not take it personally because like it's personal. But I think for the past like 3 months, I've just been praying to God, like, I want an unoffendable heart. I don't want to be easily offended. I don't want to I don't want to feel easily offended. Because I know that I get offended really easily and I take things personal a lot of the time. This is me being self-aware. And it doesn't usually like lead to the good of anything. It usually leads to destruction and sadness. And it's almost like when you say, God, help me with an unoffendable heart, people give you things to find offense in. So it's kind of like when you ask God for courage, he's not going to just say, here you go, courage. He's going to put you in positions to be courageous. And it's up to you to be courageous, and find courage in that moment. If you ask God to maybe help you with lust, he's not going to put you in a position of lust, but you're probably going to like be easily tempted by something, and then it's up to you to like remember your prayer and overcome it. So I think it's kind of the same with this prayer where I'm like, God, I really don't want to take things personal. I really just want to live and be free and not like just be at peace with everyone and not feel offended all the time. And then I'm put in positions where I feel offended, and then it's up to me to be like, okay, am I going to take offense in this, or am I just going to like move on? And yeah, I think I am trying. I think it's going to take like the Holy Spirit and his help. But I think I'm trying. So we're exiling an offendable heart. We're exiling taking things personally. And yeah. Well, Ghana's out of the World Cup, so exiling that. I almost don't have anyone else to root for in the World Cup. Today we're going to watch the Norway-England game, and I'm like, who do I root for? Like, I love Scum. If you are out there and you know Scum, you are a real one. Scum is a Norwegian coming-of-age TV show. I ate that up in 2015. You couldn't even find Scum on like streaming devices. Scum was only on like Daily Motion and these weird Tumblr websites. And I don't know how I discovered it. I used to date a Norwegian boy when I was 16, so I'm sure maybe he introduced me to it or something of that sort. But I found Scum when I was around that age, and I just love that TV show. It touched on so many things, and it honestly kind of shaped who I am today. There's two quotes from Scum that are engraved in my brain, and one of them is, "People need people." Let's see how they say it in Norwegian, because the whole show was in Norwegian, so it would like have translations. People need people. Scum. I wish I could like figure out how she says it in Norwegian. Okay, I can't find it. It's like menneske something menneske. I don't know. But yeah, it translates to people need people, and I don't know, something about that quote really touched me. Another quote that I love from the TV show was, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always." And at some point, I wanted that tattooed on my body. But that show touched on like religion, feeling bullied, feeling like an outsider, sexuality, even rape at some point, cliques, high school. It was just like, it really helped form who I was as a person. I don't know. It did something to me. I know that it definitely changed the course of my brain. You know, some things like, there's some things that happen, or there's some shows that you watch that you're like, I'm not the same after this. And I think Scum was definitely one of them. And so I'm like, should I root for Norway because of Scum? I was going to root for USA. They're out as well. Who else is in? Like, I really don't know. France. I'm like, okay, whatever country has the most African people, which is probably France. I don't know. I really don't care anymore. Once Ghana was out, all of my excitement and, yeah, energy towards the World Cup just dissipated. So there's that. What else? Oh, Love Island. Love Island is also something that's been my hyperfixation lately. You know what? I've said this before, and I think there's a direct correlation between my investment in Love Island and my well-being. The chart kind of looks like this. It looks like a downward slope. No, yes, where interest in Love Island is on the y-axis, and then well-being is on the x-axis, and y equals whatever a downward slope is. I haven't been in calculus for a while. Is that calculus? I don't know. But I think, yeah, Love Island and my well-being don't go together, which is why I really was against it this year. I was like, I really can't watch Love Island this year because I know what it does to me. And I think I've used all of my dopamine and like reward receptors towards it, that I don't find pleasure in anything else. And I think that's what's really going on, this like lethargy and sadness that I feel towards life is because all of my happiness has gone towards Love Island. So, speaking of Love Island, let me give you guys my takes. Let me give you guys my takes for the rest of the season. I mean, there's one more episode left, which is Sunday. So, you guys, I'm going to report back next week on how my well being is doing after the season is over, because I'm really excited to be happy again after the show is over. But for tomorrow's episode, I'm thinking Trinity and Bryce are gonna win. I put in my vote. I made Lucas download the app and put in his vote. It reminded me of last year when I was with Lucas's family and I made his mom, his dad, his brother, him all download the Love Island USA app, register to vote, and vote Nicolandria. And they ended up coming in second, but I think my efforts helped. Otherwise, they would have been in third. This time, I don't really have a band of people, but I got Lucas's phone. We downloaded it. We voted Trinity and Bryce. Somebody asked me why I like Trinity and Bryce. Guys, outside of the fact that they're interracial, hashtag say yes to Sorrel Love, I love a love story where the girl has never been embarrassed once. She's never been made to look a fool. Her man has never cheated on her or looked away. Or his head hasn't really turned. He's not really grafted for another person. He did try to talk to Kata at one point, but I really don't think his heart was in it, because how are you gonna go talk to Kata and be like, Trinity's my number one, but you're my number two? Like, is there something there? Which girl is gonna say yes to hearing a guy say, you're my number two? Like, it was never gonna, his heart wasn't in it for real. So he stayed loyal through Casa Amor. They've stayed loyal to each other. We've watched their feelings develop and grow over time. They are the clear winners. I love Carl and Anaya, but I don't think they deserve the win just because they came in kind of later towards the season. Yeah, I think Trinity and Bryce kept me hooked, honestly, since week 1 all the way up until week 6. They just had a blossoming, growing connection, and I'm so excited for them to be announced the winners. I'm gonna put in my vote now. I think Trinity and Bryce won, Carl and Anaya second, although I'm kind of scared because Melanie and Sincere have a lot of fans, and I'm like, will they do the unthinkable and come in second? That would be crazy. So Carl and Naya second, Melanie, Sincere third, and I think Kata and Zach will be fourth. And I'm okay with this. There are a few men in there that I don't love that they're in there, but it is what it is. I'm happy that all 4 girls are in there. I love all four of those girls. So, yeah, Bryce and Trinity for the win. I'm excited to see it happen. And then, yeah. What else has been occupying my mind lately? So my birthday's coming up. I'm turning 26 this month. I'm turning 26 on July 31st. And I'm super excited about that. I think I'm planning a pajama party that evening, and I think it's gonna be so fun. My friend Molly threw a pajama party for her birthday on May 31st, and I told her, I'm stealing this concept. Like, it was so cute. Everybody pulled up in PJs, and we just kind of ate and drank and laughed and played some games, and it was a really fun evening. And then people slept over too. So I'm like, whoever wants to sleep over, they can also sleep over. it's going to be really exciting. And then the week after, I'm going to go upstate with my bridesmaids for the traditional wedding. And we're going to do a little batch trip upstate, which is also really, really exciting. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that. I think planning that has been, I mean, planning the wedding also has been really interesting. It's been a much better wedding planning experience now because, we have money. We were able to save up and actually do this. First of all, my family is like in a much better headspace. I'm more mature. I can handle stress a little bit more. So, yeah, it hasn't been a bad planning process. I actually received an outline of my reception dress last week and I put it on and FaceTimed the people who are making it in Ghana. And then I'm going to ship it back to them and they're going to make the alterations and then put the beading on it. We're making good progress. So I'm excited. I'm excited about everything. My summertime sadness is taking over. But at the end of August, we have a wedding in France that I'm really looking forward to. And then right after that, we're going to go from Paris to London. And then we're going to fly from London to Accra to get all of my outfits for the trad, which is September 25th. So save the dates. This is the first time I've kind of shared the dates. And so if you listen to the podcast, you are part of my inner clique. The date is September 25th. I don't know why I'm being so secretive about it. There's just a little bit of like finality when you say the date out loud. And I love being elusive. I love, will she, won't she? And I feel like if I say the date out loud, then everyone knows the date. And it's like, oh my gosh, what if something goes wrong and like it doesn't end up happening? Because we've had to push this trad so many times. And now that it's really happening and it's July and I'm like, oh gosh, it's like coming up soon. I'm so nervous. Because I want everything to go right. And I think I feel a little bit of stress about that too. There are a few things that I don't like, a few vendors that like my eyebrows are a bit raised. My dress for the kente like hasn't really began because we can't come to a conclusion on the design and it's already July. So yeah, I'm stressed. I'm stressed about a lot of things. In regards to that. I'm trying to let go, let God, and I've already prayed over the day that it will go really beautifully, but there's just like, there's a bit of like sadness to it. I'm not sure why. I think planning a wedding can be very lonely and wanting the day to look good, feel good. And then the fact that I'm like annoyed at some vendors, it can put a damper on things. Like I've heard about the stress that comes with planning a Ghanaian traditional wedding in general and how, especially if you have vendors from Ghana, they can really stress you out. Thankfully, the people that are making both my kente gown and my reception gown, my reception dress is not really a gown, but my reception outfit, they haven't really stressed me out too much. I think it's just the time crunch of it all and hoping that time slows down so that things can actually be completed. So pray for me, guys, that everything will go well and that the day will look and feel exactly how I want it to look and feel, because right now I have a lot of nerves. Like about the guest count, the guests, the decorations, the food, the music, the MC. I'm like, and I think I'm trying to remind myself that people are there for a good time. They're coming to celebrate us. So, like, whatever it is, I think what people will take away will be the vibe and hopefully feel the love that we have for each other, because there's a ton of love. There's a ton of love. So, yeah, hoping that they feel it and that nothing really goes wrong. The venue is beautiful. That's what gets me excited. The venue is beautiful. It's in Massachusetts, so it's gorgeous. And if anything, if I have anything at all, at least I have a really pretty, gorgeous venue. So that's what's been occupying my mind lately. All these things that I have to think about, and the fact that I just have a very weird feeling. Well, my photographer just sent me an email, and they are apologizing for not being able to do it. So, what timing was that when I was talking about how stressed out I am about this wedding? And I open my phone and I have lost a photographer. Man. Okay. This is a chance to also practice not taking offense and being okay, because it's really out of my control. It's really out of my control. So I did want to talk about money in this episode because I've been thinking a lot about money lately, especially because of the wedding. This year has been, first of all, I've made the most money I've ever made in my life this year. But at the same time, I feel none of it because every single dollar goes towards this wedding. So it's such an interesting thing where I quit my job and I was so scared that I would not make any money from content creation. And then God blew my mind and I'm making way more. I've basically made my old job's yearly salary in June. So I was making $64,000 a year at my old job, which is honestly not that much in the grand scheme of things, but was I making 64 or 67? I think I was making 67K a year at my old job. And I've basically made that amount in June already from content creation. So that's one thing that I have been really, really excited about and really happy about. And I think I've kind of seen God's face in all of this, because I've realized that when you do obey and you have faith and you open your hands and let go of something that you are certain of in exchange for something that requires a lot of faith, faith is pleasing to God, and because of that, He rewards your faith. I don't know what it looks like for you, but for me, it's looked like provision with content creation. And it's also so validating to be like, oh, I've been doing content for like 9 years now. This is my first year doing it full time. And all these 9 years of work, I've never made this much money. I'm kind of thinking about it like as if I was in medical school. You know how medical school, you do the school, then you do college 4 years, then you do med school 4 years, then you do residency 4 years, then you do your specialty. And I feel like I'm in my specialty now. I feel like I've done, when it comes to content creation, I feel like I really put in the years of schooling, building the audience, cultivating this community, you guys, and honing in my skills when it comes to like editing and creating and even making brandable content, because that's such a skill as well. And I think it really does take time. Like, it doesn't have to take you 9 years to make a profit off of it, but it's taken me 9 years. I started making money maybe 3 years into content, but it was very sporadic and not that much. And now I'm like, wait, this is a full wage. This is way more than I was making on my full-time job doing PR at an agency. So I'm like, wow. I'm so thankful and grateful to God, so proud of myself too, because I'm like, I really have put in the work. Like, sometimes I will get a brand deal and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're paying me this much for a reel. And then it's like, no, it's not just for real. It's for 9 years worth of work and dedication and honing in your craft. Like, you've become a master at this after 9 years. You deserve that. Like, that, all of that experience is going into this reel. It's not just like one reel. So I just have to remember that and remember that, yeah, it is a job. It's a career. And you've worked at it for so long. So although I've made the most money I've ever made in my life, like I said, I feel none of it because my expenses are also so much higher, and almost all of it is going towards this wedding that we're planning. So a lot of money is going into it. So hopefully next year, once the wedding is done and we don't have to plan for it anymore, I can actually shop. And I can't wait to have the wedding out of the way so I can shop and spend the money and rejoice in the fruits of my labor. Although the wedding is also part of that fruit. And I can't wait. I basically cannot wait. So speaking of money, I wanted to talk about I wanted to do a little money talk on how I budget, how I save, and everything I've learned, because I used to be a very big spender and I love to spend. I just bought an Issey Miyake top 2 weeks ago. I love to shop. But now I have a much healthier mindset with money now, and I can actually like save for the future. And I know when I was 21, 22, 19, 20, I didn't really have good money management skills. I didn't know what a budget was. I would spend my credit card recklessly. I was doing God knows what with my money, right? If I had $50 in my bank account and a seafood boil was $47, I was buying the seafood boil. I had no self-control when it came to money. And so I wanted to share some tips that I've learned over the past few years that have helped me manage my finances a little bit better. And we're going to start with debt. Like, if you have credit card debt, how I paid off my credit card debt. So I learned this thing from this class called Financial Peace University that Lucas and I did together. And it was called the snowball effect. So let's say you have 4 credit cards. Basically, if you have credit card debt, that is the thing that you should be focused on the most. And this is just my opinion. This is what I did. So take it with a grain of salt because you might have other priorities. Basically, the reason why you want to focus on credit card debt, Lucas just gave me a tip, is because your credit cards have the highest interest rate. Like, credit cards have anywhere from like 21% interest rate to 30% interest rate. Student loans, yes, it's a lot of debt, but it's like 5% interest rate, right? Credit card debt is 29%, 21, 24. So you don't want that to be sitting there, because basically you don't want to be saving money in your like savings and then you have credit card debt. Your overall net worth is in the negatives because you still have debt. It doesn't matter how much money you save. If you have debt, you don't really have that much money. You're like in the negatives. So you want to clear your debt before you start to save. So the first thing when approaching, like, okay, I want a clean slate with my money, I want to start saving, I want to start building for the future, I tackled my credit card debt right away. So it's called the snowball effect. You have the smallest debt. Let's say if you have 400 on your Apple card, 1,000 on like a Chase card, 2,000 on a Citibank card, you're going to start with the smallest debt, which is the $500, and you're going to budget to clear that. So once you pay that off, then you move on to the next one. And then once you clear that off, then you move on to the third one. So you want to go from small to biggest, because once you have that momentum of like, oh, I've cleared this debt, you don't want to tackle the biggest to the smallest because it's going to overwhelm you. So tackle the smallest to the biggest. And when you get paid, or at the end of the month when you sit down to budget, your biggest priority is paying off your credit cards till it's zero. Student loans are separate. You're not trying to like do the snowball effect for a student loan, or I don't know, whatever big loan you have. Just do the credit cards first, because they're going to cause much interest and your credit score is going to be much higher. So that's what I did. I got paid, and then I set out like, let's say if I had 1,500 on my Apple card that I haven't paid, and each month I'm just paying the minimum and the debt isn't really going away. It took me like maybe 3 months where I was putting maybe $300 aside to clear it off. The next month, maybe another 300 to clear it off till I clear it off. It's going to take a long time depending on how much you make and how much debt you have. But whatever money that you want to save, you should put that towards clearing your debt first. That's what I did. And then, speaking of credit cards, once that debt is paid off, you don't want to start accruing more like debt on your credit cards. The way I look at credit cards now is like, this is not a card where I can just swipe and then have a bunch of expenses on it and then just pay it off, pay the minimum. It's just never going to go away. I feel like you're always going to be in debt, and it's just like not fun that way. So what we do now with credit cards, I just pay my bills on there, and like things like my expenses. So restaurants, getting my nails done, just these little things, maybe gas, maybe hair, going out with friends. Like, I'll use my credit card for that. Don't be scared to use your credit card, but only use your credit card for things that you know you have the money for. So if the money's in your bank account, you're not using your debit card, you're using your credit card so you can get points. But only use the credit card for things that you can pay off. At the end of the month, you want your credit card total to be zero. Like, when that bill comes around at the end of the month, you want to pay it off completely. You want your credit card to be at zero at the end of each month. Once you have any debt on it that you've paid off, you want your credit card to be at zero. So whatever you spend on your credit card that month, you need to make sure you have the money for it to pay it off at the end. I don't believe, or this is what I do. I don't do paying off the minimum. I pay off my credit card bill entirely at the end of the month. So every month I'm starting from zero with my credit card, and that's kept my credit score really high. And I think it's just healthy to do it that way, because that way you're not spending above your means. You're not just like buying random things that you know you can't pay off at the end of the month. So make sure whatever you use your credit card for, you have the money in the bank already. You're not using the credit card as like free money that's going to come out of thin air. You have the money already in your bank account, or you will have the money when you get paid, but you're using your credit card instead, so that at the end you can just pay it off with all the money that's in your bank account. And then your credit card can be at zero. So that's what I do with credit cards. Paid off, $0 on it at the end of the month. Then you start again, then $0 at the end of the month. So kind of treat it as like a debit card, basically. Don't buy something that you don't have in your bank account to pay it off at the end of the month. Once your credit card debt is paid off, then you want to start saving. So, or at least that's what I did. Once my credit card was paid off, once all my credit cards were paid off, and it took like a few months to pay off all my credit cards, then I started to save. So there's two kinds of saving pools. I started with $1,000. $1,000 emergency fund. I think everyone should have $1,000 of an emergency fund. If you have more, that's great. But I think $1,000 emergency fund, or 1,000 whatever currency that you have wherever you're listening to this, whatever is equivalent to $1,000 in your country, place of residence, I think everyone should have that. So once I paid off my credit card, like let's say I was putting $300 a month towards paying off my credit card each month. Once my credit cards were paid off, that $300, now I started putting it in my emergency fund, which is $1,000. So that also took, maybe 4 months, $300 a month to get up to 1,000. Once I had that $1,000 set, then I moved on to my second savings pool, which is in a high yield savings account. So I created a high yield savings account with Amex. You want to look around for which company or bank has the highest return rate. These days, high yield savings accounts are around like 3.4, maybe 3.1% interest rate. A high yield savings account is basically a savings account that gives you money back. So as opposed to a regular bank account where your money is just sitting there, the high yield savings account, it gives you like 3% total each month of whatever is in there. So if you have $200 in a high yield savings account, at the end of the month, you get 3% of $200 back, which is, let's see, $90, which it adds up. Is it $90? No, that's 30%. Okay, $9, I think. 300 times 0.03. Okay, that's $9. I was like, 90 is so much. So at the end of the month, you get $9. Now you have 309. And then if you put in an extra 300 in the high yield savings account, then you have 609. And by the second month, you get 3% of that, which is $18. So then you have 609 plus 18. Now you have 627. So you're just kind of getting a little bit of money back, just a tiny bit. But as the bank account grows, the money back you get also grows. So imagine you had like $5,000 in this high yield savings account. You'll get $150 by the end of the year, I think. Am I correct? Either way. So I have my $1,000 like emergency fund in a regular bank account so that I can like easily access it. And then my high yield savings account, once I was done with saving up 1,000 after a few months, that same $300, I'm using $300 as an example. Maybe yours, you can really only afford to put $150 aside, or maybe you can only afford to put $50 aside. Either way, whatever money you can use to save however much percent it is or however much it is. One, use it to pay off your credit cards. Then use it to save up to $1,000 in your regular bank account. Once both things are checked off, then you move into putting that into a high yield savings account. So at no point do you stop putting money aside. At no point do you say, oh, I'm done paying my credit card, so I'm not going to save, or I'm done with this $1,000 emergency fund, so I'm not going to save. You're putting aside the same amount of money each month, like with the notion that you're making the same amount of money each month, right? As far as nothing drastic changes. So then you move to the high yield savings account. For the high yield savings account, I tried to do 5 months of expenses. So let's say your expenses, like however much money you spend a month, is, let's say, $2,000, which is like rent, bills, car insurance, maintenance, restaurants, food, fund money. However much you spend a month, you will know because you ideally keep track of it. So let's say each month my expenses is around $2,000. I'm going to start saving 5 months of expenses. This is a much bigger like rainy day fund. So let's say like, God forbid you lose your job, then you will have 5 months of expenses and it'll buy you 5 months of time in case you needed to look for another job. So I saved up, I think $10,000 is the goal. That was 5 months of expenses for me personally. Lucas also has his 5 months of expenses. So we're a household, but me personally, let's say I spend $2,000 a month, which is like half of the rent and like whatever. My goal for my high yield savings account was $10,000. And so the 300 that I'm setting aside every month for this savings goal, once I was done with $1,000 emergency, then I started putting the $300 a month towards my high yield savings account. And that has taken a long time. My high yield savings account, it's taken a long time to get to 10,000, or it took a long time to get to 10,000. And then sometimes I'll take something out of it. You don't really want to touch it, but I have touched it here and there just because something happened, and I needed it. But it was there, the fact that I needed it and it was there is like also really, really helped. So yeah, that's like the goal for the high yield savings account. I use Amex for my high yield savings account, but you can use whatever. I know that there's so many other high yield savings account that they all have a similar interest rate. So that was my, I think two kinds of savings pool, $1,000 emergency. And then once I was done with that, then $10,000 of a bigger emergency fund, really, which is like 5 months of expenses. So if your expenses are only $800 a month, 5 months of that, save in a high yield savings account. Once I hit the 10,000 in my high yield savings account, then I started to put money in investments, which is stocks and like gold and ETFs and things like that. And my husband takes care of that usually, but it's on a website called Vanguard, and I just opened a brokerage account. So that was a brokerage account. So then I started putting money in the brokerage. So you want to have like 3 different money pools. The $1,000 in your bank account, 5 months of expenses in your high yield savings account, and then a brokerage account, which is like a longer term investment pool that you don't really touch at all. I hope all of this is making sense. So how we keep track of all of this is that I have an Excel sheet that I budget with. The thing with budgeting is that you want to think of every dollar as like every dollar has a name. So every single dollar in your bank account has a name. If you get paid, let's say $1,000 every 2 weeks, that $1,000, you should never not know what it's for. Every single dollar in that $1,000 should have a name. So let's say 500 of that is for, this is really like unrealistic numbers, but let's say you make $2,000 a month and 800 of that is for rent. That honestly could be very realistic depending on where you live. $800 is for rent. You know that $800 has the name rent on it. Then let's say $200 is for maintenance, hair and nails. I know braids alone right now in New York City is like 250. So who am I kidding? But for the sake of the podcast, we're just going to say $200 of that is for maintenance, hair and nails. Then another $200 of that is for bills, like your phone bill, your Wi-Fi, utilities, maybe gas. So let's say 300. So 800 is for rent. $200 has the name maintenance on it. And then $300 has rent on it. Has bills on it. So maybe it's your Hulu subscription, your phone bill, your gas, your dog stuff, And then maybe 150 of it is for groceries, right? No, let's say 200 of it is for groceries. 200 of it is for groceries. Then you're left with $500. Now, this $500, I would do 150 for error because there's always error. And then since I love to travel, I would do 150 for a travel fund. We also have a travel fund that's outside of our savings and emergency, which is just money to put towards flights and hotels whenever we want to. So 150 has the name error on it. Then 150 has the name travel on it. Then you have $200. And then this $200 is what I would use to pay off my credit card bill. And that's it. You just need to take it 1 month at a time. So if you can only put $200 towards it, you do it. The next month, you keep the same kind of stats, assuming nothing changes. You don't get into any car troubles or have hospital bills or anything. I know things will come up, and we can't always have like perfect days, but I think budgeting for me became really, really much better when I started implementing the fact that every dollar will have a name. I'm not going to be using my rent money for maintenance. I'm not going to be using my bills money for cafes and restaurants. That's where the fun money comes in. So budgeting can be fun when you give yourself room. Because when I used to think about budgeting in the beginning, I would always think, I can't touch the money and I cannot even use it, But I had to be realistic and I had to say, no, I love food. So if $200 can go towards eating out every month, then I'm going to let myself have it. And then if $200 can go towards fun and coffee shop dates and knickknacks that I want to buy. I go outside, I see a vase that I like, I see a shirt that I want to buy, But the key is to keeping restraints on these budgets and these pools that you've set, and really attaching the name to every dollar and not moving the dollars around. Like if you run out of fun money, you've run out of fun money for the month. See you next month. If you can't really, don't give yourself too much leeway because then you won't end up saving. And the money that you have to save is what's going to get you out of credit card debt, give you an emergency fund, give you a high yield savings pool, and then later on give you money to invest in a brokerage. So yeah, it's going to take time. It took me 2 years to get the $10,000 in my high yield savings account, but I did it. and it took me like maybe 6 months to pay off my credit card debt. And then it took me maybe like 3 months to save up the $1,000 of my emergency. So it's gonna take time and it's gonna take discipline. We use an Excel sheet to like budget everything out. So in an Excel sheet, we list our rent, bills, groceries, error, fun, maintenance, restaurants, travel, saving. And then whatever we anticipate to make that month, we'll break it down. And then whatever we spend in that month, we go back to the sheet and we subtract it so we know how much we have left. So if I've put $300 aside for restaurants, anytime I go out to eat, I subtract it from $300 so I know, okay, I have $220 left. Okay, I have $100 left. Okay, I have $50 left. And so I'm keeping track of it so that when it runs out, I know, okay, no more restaurants for this month, so that I don't tap into the money that I have for savings to do something else. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a very short, like 101 on how I budget and save and like the way that I think about money. There's a lot of like budgeting apps to use. I think that's complicated. Like an Excel sheet is really simple. It's like, okay, and then Excel sheet and then using your bank account, checking your bank account each time, keeping your receipts, knowing what you spend. Don't just buy something and then walk out of the store and like forget, because you will forget to track it. So don't forget to track it. Make sure as soon as you buy something, you look at how much it was, you go back to your Excel sheet, you update the numbers so you know how much you have left. Don't touch the money that you have set aside for saving, even if it's $30, even if it's 20, even if it's 10, if it's 500, make sure you don't touch that at all and use it towards credit card debt if you have any, $1,000 emergency fund if you have it, if you don't, and 5 months of expenses fund and investment fund. So you always want to be saving towards one of these, and travel fund too. But yeah, that's how I manage my money. Obviously, I'm married, and we're planning a wedding, so our finances look very scattered this year, and it's much more convoluted, but this is like the basic breakdown of how I saved, my approach to credit cards, and yeah, how much I'm saving and all of that stuff. So, and how I budget. So let me know if you have any questions. I know I kind of said a lot, so it might be hard to follow, but I think the takeaway is pay off all of your credit card debt as soon as you can. Start with the smallest card, the smallest amount to the biggest amount. You're going to feel so much better once you don't have any more credit cards. Pay off your credit card in full at the end of each month. This will help you not to spend more than you have. And save towards an emergency. Then save 5 months of expenses. Then save in a brokerage/investment account. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you, I do. And I will see you in another episode. Bye.